Hello everyone, welcome to the channel. Today we will delve into the fascinating history of the law of attraction. We will explore how this powerful idea has evolved over the centuries, from ancient philosophical teachings to modern practices. Whether you are new to this concept or have long believed in it, get ready to discover the roots and stories behind this timeless law that has inspired millions of people around the world. Let's get started. Let me just say this straight. I used to think the law of attraction was pseudo-spiritual garbage. Like, okay, you think positive and the universe just hands you good things? Cool. Tell that to my bank account after student loans. But what I've learned the hard way is that the law of attraction isn't about magic. It's about clarity. It's about seeing patterns you keep ignoring. It's about realizing that what you tolerate, you attract. And unfortunately, I tolerated a lot from my wife, Maddie. I'll start where things first really cracked. We'd been married 6 years. Maddie was sharp, funny, beautiful, and she knew it. People gravitated toward her. She could sell a ketchup popsicle to a woman in white gloves. But sometimes, she'd lie about small things. Little white lies, she called them. Dumb stuff. Like saying she folded the laundry when she hadn't, or that she returned a call when she didn't. I chalked it up to forgetfulness. Then came the dishwasher. I walked into the kitchen one night after work. Dishes stacked sky high. I was fried, mentally done, and all I said was, "Thought you ran the dishwasher earlier?" She didn't even look up from her phone. I did. "But the dishes are still dirty." She didn't flinch. Just said, "Well, maybe it broke." Thing is, it hadn't even been turned on. I checked. No soap. Dry as a bone inside. When I told her that, she got defensive. Accused me of checking up on her. Said I was acting like a psycho. I remember just standing there, mouth open, thinking, wait, am I crazy? That was the first real seed. I brushed it off. But I think on some level, I started attracting the truth because I was finally open to it. And the truth was going to knock me on my ass. So the dishwasher thing stuck with me, but I didn't press too hard. I told myself, pick your battles. She probably just forgot. Maybe I misheard. I let it go. But the second time, I couldn't ignore it. One night, Maddie left her phone on the kitchen counter. She was in the shower. It lit up, notifications from Instagram. I wasn't trying to snoop, but something caught my eye. A message from a guy I didn't recognize. "Last night was incredible. Can't stop thinking about you." My stomach went ice cold. Now look, I'm not proud of what I did next, but I tapped into the convo. Scrolled up. And that's when my world tilted. She had told me she was going to a girls' night at her friend Tessa's apartment. They posted some selfies to back it up. But apparently, that girls' night turned into drinks with a guy named Kyle. Then that turned into a hotel room. She didn't even try to be subtle. She sent him a photo of herself in the hotel mirror, same dress I'd complimented before she left. I had kissed her that night, told her to have fun, babe. Meanwhile, she was planning a full-on affair. When she came out of the shower, I was sitting on the couch, pale as hell, holding her phone. She froze. I didn't yell. I didn't even speak. She walked over, towel around her like nothing happened, and said, dead serious, "Why are you going through my stuff?" No apology. No guilt. Just blame. I asked her straight up, "Who's Kyle?" She blinked, then did that thing where she smirks when she's cornered. "He's just a friend. We got drunk. Nothing happened." I showed her the messages. The photo. She rolled her eyes and said, "God, it's not like I love him. It was just one time." That was her defense. One time. No emotion. No remorse. Like I was annoying her for catching her. That night I slept in my car. It was 29 degrees out. And I remember thinking, what the hell kind of reality am I attracting? Sleeping in the car wasn't even the lowest point. That came later. After the Instagram messages, I told Maddie I needed space. I wasn't sure what I was going to do, but I couldn't just pretend nothing happened. She said she understood, then blocked me on Instagram, on the spot, like a teenager. I wasn't even mad. I was stunned at how fast she flipped the switch. I stayed at my brother's for a couple days. He's chill, doesn't ask too many questions, just handed me a beer and said, "Dude, take your time." While I was there, I started doing what any freshly betrayed husband does, digging. That's when I found something I wasn't supposed to find. We had a joint checking account. That was our system. She made decent money as a marketing manager. I worked in IT. We shared bills, groceries, all of it. But while I was logged into our online banking app, I noticed something weird. There were transfers, consistent ones, going from our joint account to some other account I didn't recognize. The bank didn't show a name, just a partial number. But I traced it and found the kicker. Maddie had opened a separate account months ago. At first I thought, maybe it's for savings? Maybe she didn't tell me because she was planning a surprise or something? I was still in denial, I guess. But nope. I called the bank, verified myself, asked if I was listed on that other account. I wasn't. Maddie had been siphoning money. Little by little, $200 here, $500 there, for almost 10 months. Nearly $9,000 total. I called her immediately. She picked up like nothing was wrong. I asked her about the account. "Oh, that?" she said, like I'd asked about a Target receipt. "Yeah, I've been setting something aside. I didn't think I needed your permission." "You didn't think you needed to tell me?" "Why would I?" she snapped. "You spend money on dumb crap all the time." "I'm just protecting myself." That word, protecting, like I was some financial threat, like I'd put her in danger. And it hit me. She was preparing to leave. Slowly, carefully, and I was the clueless guy funding her exit. You ever get punched in the chest without being touched? That's what it felt like. But I didn't yell. I didn't beg. I told her calmly, "Transfer it back. All of it. Or I'm getting a lawyer." She laughed. Actually laughed. "I already talked to a lawyer," she said. "I've been planning this a while, babe." And that was the moment, right there, when I stopped feeling sad and started feeling focused. I didn't want to just survive this. I wanted to understand how I let myself attract someone like her into my life. And more importantly, how to never do it again. So here I am, sleeping on my brother's couch, bank account drained behind my back, wife emotionally checked out, and planning her escape like a prison break. I'd love to say I had it together, but the truth is, I was barely showering, eating mostly gas station sandwiches and rage. I called a lawyer. Someone my coworker recommended, divorce specialist, no-nonsense guy. When I explained the situation, he just exhaled sharply and said, "She's setting up for a clean break. Do you share a lease?" I told him yes. We had renewed it just 3 months ago. He paused, then asked, "Did you sign that renewal?" I blinked. "Yeah, of course, I think. I remember her saying she'd take care of it." He told me to check. So I did. I pulled up the scan lease from the landlord's portal. Only one signature, Maddie's. She had signed it solo, electronically. The lease was now only in her name. She told the landlord I'd moved out of town for work temporarily and that she was handling things on my own now. I was technically just a guest in my own home. And it got worse. The lease wasn't for 1 year, it was month to month, which meant she could break it anytime, without penalty. She had cut me out of everything. Finances, housing, even the legal protection of our own lease. She had made herself the sole tenant, the sole account holder, and the sole narrator of our entire shared life. And me? I was just the guy still thinking we had problems to work on. The lawyer said, "She's planning to ghost you legally. She'll be gone one day, and you won't be able to prove a damn thing." I broke down in that office. 34 years old, grown man, crying into my sleeve. It wasn't just the betrayal. It was the precision, the cold planning, the months of looking me in the face and lying like it was nothing. I went home that night to my brother's, stared at the ceiling, and something inside me snapped. No more pretending. No more, maybe she's just confused. No more, she's hurting too. She wasn't hurting. She was hunting. And I finally realized something hard. The universe doesn't give you what you want. It gives you what you tolerate. And I tolerated a hell of a lot. All right, so after the lease discovery, I stopped talking to Maddie completely. Cold turkey. I blocked her on everything and let my lawyer handle communication. That silence? It drove her nuts. Suddenly, I was the villain. She texted my brother saying I was ghosting the marriage. Like that wasn't what she'd been plotting for months. But here's where it gets wild. About a week later, her mom calls me out of the blue. I hadn't spoken to her much. Maddie always said her mom was toxic, always dramatic, so I stayed away. But now, she sounded different. "Hey, sweetie," she said. "Can I ask what's going on with you too?" Maddie won't tell me anything, but I know she's been off. I debated whether to say anything, but I just told her the surface-level truth. I found out she cheated and lied about a lot of stuff. We're getting divorced. Her mom was silent for a beat, then said something that made my jaw drop. "Oh no, is this about that Kyle guy?" I told her that was a stupid thing to start up again. Again? Wait, again? I asked. Her mom paused, realized what she said, tried to backpedal. "I didn't mean that. I just meant they knew each other years ago. It was innocent." No. Too late. I pushed. And after a little coaxing, her mom told me everything. Maddie and Kyle had history. He wasn't just a random hookup, he was her ex from college. The one she blocked for good when we started dating. She'd reconnected with him 2 years ago at her friend's wedding. 2 years. That means she was cheating for at least a year before I ever saw that Instagram message. Her mom said she warned her, "Don't ruin your marriage over nostalgia. You've got a good man." Maddie apparently replied, "He's boring. I just want to feel wanted again." Let that sink in. After all I gave, 6 years of stability, emotional support, a shared life, I was just boring. Her mom apologized. Said, "I know I'm not supposed to be calling you, but I figured you deserve to hear the truth from someone." I thanked her, hung up. Then I sat on the edge of my bed for a full hour. Just numb. Not because I was still in love with Maddie. By then, I wasn't. But because I finally understood, I had built a life with someone who saw me as a placeholder. She was never going to grow old with me. She was never even really there. And the law of attraction? I think it kicked in again right there. Not with magic, but clarity. I didn't want to attract love anymore. I wanted to attract truth. Even if it hurt like hell. After that phone call with her mom, something in me flipped. It wasn't sadness anymore, it was focus. Cold, razor-sharp clarity. I wasn't going to play defense. I was done reacting. It was time to act. I called my lawyer and told him everything her mom had said. He advised me to stay calm, document everything, and, most importantly, don't let her know what I know. So I played it cool. I unblocked Maddie for a day. Sent her a short message. "Let's meet and talk. I'm ready to be civil." She took the bait instantly. We met at a coffee shop near our old apartment. She wore that fake smile mask she always put on when she was performing, like she wanted to win some imaginary audience back over. "Hey stranger," she said, acting like I ghosted her. She sat down, sipped her overpriced iced latte, and said, "I'm glad you reached out. I think we both made mistakes." I didn't respond to that. I just looked her in the eyes and asked, "How long were you sleeping with Kyle before the wedding?" Her face froze. She blinked, then smiled, then said, "Wow, I didn't expect you to be so paranoid." "I spoke to your mom," I said flatly. Silence. Maddie looked like she got slapped. She set her drink down, slowly. Her mouth opened and closed a few times like she wanted to spin a lie, but the room had no space left for it. "You invaded my privacy," she snapped. "No," I said. I finally stopped ignoring reality. She got up and stormed out. Left me with the check, typical. But you know what? I felt good. That might sound petty, but for the first time in this entire circus, I didn't feel like the chump getting played. I felt like the man in the mirror again. I went back to my brother's that night and started packing my stuff into boxes. I filed the divorce papers 2 days later. And I didn't tell her. She got served at her office. In front of her coworkers. I didn't plan that part on purpose, but let's just say karma handled the RSVP. My lawyer told me afterward, that was the cleanest pivot I've seen in a while. Most people unravel. I said, "Oh, I did unravel. I just made sure I rebuilt tighter." So after the coffee shop ambush and the divorce filing, I figured I'd heard the worst. Maddie had cheated, lied, manipulated, and played me like a backup singer in her own solo drama. But just when I thought the curtain had dropped, the encore hit. I got a message on LinkedIn of all places from a woman named Chloe. "Hi, you don't know me, but I'm Kyle's ex. I think we should talk." I nearly scrolled past it, thinking it was spam or one of those crypto bots. But something about the name Kyle snapped my attention back. So I replied. We met for lunch. And folks, buckle up. Turns out Kyle had been with Chloe for 3 years. Not just dating, engaged. She showed me pictures, trips, holidays, even a Pinterest board for their wedding. Guess when he ended it? 1 week after my wedding to Maddie. Chloe said he claimed it was mutual, that they had grown apart. But when she went to pick up her things from his place, she found a love letter, not addressed to her. To Maddie. Signed, sealed, and grossly romantic. She confronted him, and he admitted they had reconnected innocently at a wedding, started texting, then couldn't help themselves. He told her, "I know she's married now, but she's miserable. She says she made a mistake." That line hit me like a freight train, because I was the mistake she was referring to. But wait, it gets better. Kyle didn't break up with Chloe to be with Maddie. No, he ghosted both of them. Chloe said he stopped replying to Maddie after about 5 months. When she asked if I'd heard from him recently, I told her nope. Last I saw was that Instagram DM. Turns out Kyle's a serial emotional manipulator. The kind who says all the right things to broken women, mirrors their pain, becomes their hero, then vanishes. Chloe said she saw him do it before to other girls in college. He'd play savior, then drop them when it got too real. So in the end, Maddie threw away a loyal husband for a guy who didn't even want her. And that realization? That was my turning point. Because I wasn't jealous. I wasn't angry. I was done. Done questioning my worth. Done trying to decode lies. Done holding my breath hoping she'd come around. Chloe and I laughed, weirdly, by the end of the conversation. Two people burned by the same liar. She even said, honestly, he did us both a favor. And you know what? She was right. The universe doesn't punish you with loss. Sometimes it clears out what's blocking the real blessings. After that lunch with Chloe, I was feeling lighter. Still a mess in some ways, don't get me wrong, but at least the mental fog was lifting. I wasn't waking up every morning with that sinking pit in my stomach anymore. The part of me that still needed Maddie's validation? Dead and buried. So naturally, that's when life threw me a curveball. I decided to rejoin the world. My brother dragged me to a trivia night at a bar. Low-stakes socializing, beer, dumb questions, perfect. I hadn't laughed like that in weeks. And then I saw her. Across the room, black jeans, leather jacket, sipping something neat with a book in hand like the noise didn't faze her at all. She looked up, and we locked eyes. I didn't even process it as flirting. It felt more like curiosity. We talked. Her name was Erin. She wasn't dramatic or overly bubbly. She was blunt, sarcastic, had a dry laugh that made people lean in to hear it again. We ended up on the same trivia team, and by the end of the night, we were the last ones at the table. She said, "So, what's your story?" I paused. Wasn't sure how to answer. Divorcing a compulsive liar who cheated on me with her ex and got dumped herself, I said, way too bluntly. She laughed, harder than I expected. "Well, I thought I was the walking disaster in the room," she said. "But you might beat me." Turns out she had just gotten out of a 6-year relationship too. Guy proposed, then 3 weeks later admitted he'd been living a double life. Whole other girlfriend in another city. Travel job. 2 phones. The works. We trauma bonded over gin and bad decisions. It wasn't love at first sight, but it was honesty. I didn't feel the need to impress her. We both sat in our brokenness and weirdly, it felt okay. Over the next few weeks, we kept seeing each other. Slowly. Carefully. No games. No false promises. But here's the kicker. One night while we were out walking, she said something that hit me straight in the chest. "You ever think we attract what we believe we deserve?" I stopped walking. That was it. That was the law of attraction, laid bare. Because back when I was with Maddie, I did believe I didn't deserve much. I accepted crumbs and called it love. I tolerated lies and labeled it compromise. I thought loyalty meant staying no matter how badly someone treated you. But Erin? She didn't ask me to shrink myself. She didn't try to mold me into someone else. And I didn't try to save her, either. We just were. For once, I wasn't chasing. I wasn't begging. I was attracting something because I finally stopped repelling it with low standards and desperation. And let me tell you, that shift? It's the most powerful thing I've ever felt. I should have known it wasn't over. Not with someone like Maddie. People like her don't leave, they circle. Like sharks. Or exes with too much time and not enough attention. It was about 2 months after I started seeing Erin. Things were going steady. Nothing dramatic, no blow-ups, just calm. Healing, even. I was finally enjoying silence again. Then came the text. "Hey, just thinking about you. Hope you're okay." Short. Manipulative. Classic Maddie. I stared at it like it was radioactive. It sat there on my screen like a snake, hissing softly. I didn't reply. 2 hours later. "I know you probably hate me. I deserve that. But I still think about us. About everything." 3 hours after that. "Are you seeing someone?" There it was. The real reason. She didn't want me. She just couldn't stand the idea that I might be wanted by someone else. So I did something that past me never would have dared. I screenshotted it. Sent it to my lawyer. He just replied, "Block." Again. But I didn't, yet. I waited. I wanted to see where she was going with it. The next night she called. At first, I let it ring. Then I picked up. Because part of healing is learning how to confront, not just avoid. Her voice was soft. Sweet. Sickening. I laughed. Actually laughed. "You didn't want a first one. You just didn't want me to be happy without you. She snapped. Well, cold. You taught me how. And I hung up. Then I blocked her. For the last time. It felt final. Not dramatic, not cinematic, just quietly final. Like shutting the door to a room I'd outgrown. Later, I told Erin about it. She just nodded and said, she wasn't coming back for you. She was coming back for control. Exactly. And this time, I didn't give it to her. After Maddie's failed check-in, I couldn't stop thinking. Not about her, but about me. About how much of myself I'd lost in that relationship. How often I'd been until I snapped. How many lies I swallowed just to keep the peace. So I sat down one night and did something I never expected. I wrote her a letter. Not to send it. God, no. This was for me. A kind of emotional purge. Dear Maddie, you lied. A lot. About big things and small things, about Kyle, about your vision board, about loving me. You lied so easily I started to wonder if the truth ever meant anything to you at all. But here's the thing. I don't hate you anymore. Hating you would mean you still live rent-free in my head, and I've already started renovations. You don't belong here anymore. I used to think I wasn't enough. Not successful enough. Not spiritual enough. Not aligned with the universe enough. But I realize now I wasn't supposed to be enough for the version of you that only loved what reflected well on her. You saw yourself as someone magnetic and divine, the manifestation queen who deserved everything. But the truth is, you manifested a hollow mirror of yourself, and then blamed me when it cracked. I was loyal, and you mistook that for weakness. I was patient, and you mistook that for naivety. I was kind, and you mistook that for compliance. But I'm done mistaking your chaos for passion. I finally learned what the law of attraction really means. You attract what you're aligned with. And I'm not aligned with lies, manipulation, or ego-masked spirituality anymore. You wanted someone to orbit around your drama. I want someone to build a life with. So thank you, honestly, for blowing it all up. You gave me a chance to rebuild something honest. Sincerely. The man you never really saw. I folded the letter, put it in a drawer, and never touched it again. Writing it felt like lighting a fire inside my chest and letting it burn clean. It was my closure, not hers. And that's what so many people miss. Closure doesn't come from the other person. It comes from you, deciding that the story no longer owns you. So the day of the divorce hearing finally came. I was nervous, not because I expected drama in court, but because after everything, this was the moment that officially closed the chapter. Maddie showed up late, dressed like she was auditioning for a reality show, all smiles and fake sympathy. Honestly, I felt more pity than anger when I saw her. The judge started going over the paperwork, property division, alimony, custody of the dog, yes, the dog, and everything seemed straightforward. Then, out of nowhere, Maddie's lawyer made a weird motion. She wanted to add an amendment to the divorce agreement. A clause that would force me to attend counseling sessions to resolve emotional distress caused by the breakdown of the marriage. I blinked. What the hell? Turns out Maddie's plan was to paint me as unstable, the angry ex, so she could gain leverage for custody battles or financial benefits. I wasn't about to be railroaded, so my lawyer asked for proof of this emotional distress. Maddie went red, sputtered, and then, here's the kicker, accidentally admitted she still hoped we'd work things out someday. Judge raised an eyebrow, paused, then said, "Sounds like you're the one struggling to let go." The whole courtroom went silent. I felt a strange mix of vindication and pity. Maddie stormed out afterward, leaving me with a judge who told me to keep healing in a clean divorce decree. Walking out, I realized something important. I wasn't the victim. I was the survivor. And that made all the difference. After the divorce was finalized, things with Erin started feeling more real. We decided it was time for her to meet my parents, you know, that big, official step everyone talks about. I was nervous as hell. My mom's the type who grills you like an FBI agent, and my dad's the silent judge, observing everything. I imagined Maddie's ghost hovering over the dinner table, just to make it worse. We arrived at their house. Erin came in calm, confident, and surprisingly funny. She cracked jokes that even got my dad to chuckle, which is basically a miracle. But halfway through dinner, things took a turn. My mom, who's normally straightforward, suddenly asked, "So, what really happened with Maddie?" I felt my chest tighten. I wasn't ready to dump all the emotional baggage in front of them. Erin, however, surprised me. She calmly said she was someone my boyfriend loved, but she chose lies over loyalty. That's on her, not him. My mom nodded slowly, and then said something I wasn't expecting. I'm glad you have someone who sees your worth. My dad raised his glass and said, to moving forward, then. That night, Erin didn't just meet my parents, she earned their respect. She showed me that healing isn't just about breaking away from the past, but also about building a new foundation. It wasn't until months after the divorce that the law of attraction actually hit me, not as a cliché or a buzzword, but as a raw, undeniable truth. Before, I thought it was all about thinking positive and waiting for magic. But it's way messier than that. It's about owning your vibe, your energy, your self-worth. What you allow into your life depends on what you believe about yourself. I used to believe I deserved betrayal, lies, and heartbreak, because that's what Maddie showed me. I thought love meant bending until you break. But after I faced the mess, the hurt, and the truth, I changed my mindset. I started visualizing healthy love, respect, and trust, not from some Pinterest board, but from a deep, gut-level place. And that's when Erin came along. She wasn't perfect, but she was real, honest, unapologetically herself. I stopped chasing and started attracting. I realized the universe doesn't hand out gifts just because you want them. It responds to the energy you put out. So if you're stuck in a toxic cycle, take a hard look at what you believe about yourself. Because that belief is either a prison or a doorway. Just when I thought the Maddie saga was finally over, life had one more surprise in store. Out of the blue, I ran into her at the coffee shop where Erin and I used to grab our Sunday morning latte. She looked different, less polished, more desperate. She approached me, eyes wide and pleading. "Can we talk? Just one last time." My heart hammered, but I kept my voice steady. "I'm done, Maddie. I'm not the same guy you left behind." She started crying, blaming everything on me, on fate, on the energy not being right. But I'd learned to protect my peace. I smiled softly and said, "I hope you find what you're looking for, but it's not with me." And I walked away, no anger, no regret, just calm acceptance. Because the law of attraction isn't about dragging back what's lost. It's about making space for what truly belongs. Looking back, the whole Maddie ordeal was one hell of a lesson. Not just about betrayal or toxic relationships, but about me, about how I showed up in love and what I allowed. Here's what I learned, in case you're in the same dark place. The law of attraction is real, but it starts with self-worth. You can't attract respect if you don't respect yourself first. Toxic people don't change for you. They might change when they're ready, but not because you hope or beg. Boundaries are your best friend. Saying no doesn't make you cruel, it makes you sane. Healing takes time, and that's okay. You don't have to be over it yesterday. Closure comes from within, not from the other person. Write the letter, have the conversation in your head, whatever you need to do to free yourself. Surround yourself with people who see your value. Erin did that for me. My parents did that too, and eventually, I did it for myself. If you're stuck in a relationship where lies and manipulation are the norm, trust me, you can find a way out. It's scary, messy, and sometimes lonely, but freedom is worth every hard step. So keep your head up. Believe in the real you, the one who deserves honesty, love, and peace. And remember, the universe is listening. Make sure you're sending the right signal. If anyone wants to talk about this stuff or needs advice, I'm here. Sometimes, just sharing your story is the first step to attracting something better.